Hello, my dear friends, Mr. E here, and today we are going to continue our discussion on the Havoc game mode. Now, last time around we talked about some very basic stuff such as how and why should you begin playing Havoc, and hopefully I convinced a decent-sized subset of you guys that Havoc actually is a pretty enjoyable experience if you are a certain type of gamer who likes to self-impose challenges upon yourself, test your limits, and also enjoy a little bit of pain in there with your pleasure. I think that if you are a player who's looking to get better at the game or really just see like how crazy it can get, it's definitely where you'll want to invest the bulk majority of your time, especially if you're going to go, a couple hundred hours in this thing, as sometimes people are wont to do, myself included. Now, today we're going to talk about something that is probably first and foremost on your mind, and that is how to climb the Havoc ladder, how to climb the ranks, how to do so efficiently, and how to do so without losing your goddamn mind, which can be a tougher challenge than it might seem at first. This is the primary thing I want to talk about in this installment is defeating what seems to be the predominant mindset among players these days, which is this goal-oriented obsession that everyone has to be Havoc 40. I want to put that to bed here and now. And if this was your intent, if you were thinking that, oh man, I have to reach Havoc 40 because, I don't know, X reason, whatever it is, I want you to disabuse yourself of that thought right now. That, I think, is the single greatest flaw in the entire Havoc system, the entire Havoc game mode as a system, which has had this levels ranking thing sort of foisted upon it. It is purely meaningless. The only meaning that there is to these ranked levels is it is tied to certain achievements, certain penances. But as I addressed in the first episode, do not go into Havoc with the goal of achieving penances, right? The only goal for playing Havoc should be having fun, learning how to play the game better, in the goal with the ultimate goal of having fun. So do not abuse yourself and do not abuse your teammates by forcing yourself into a grind in order to reach some arbitrary goal like Havoc 40. And I'm not done ranting about this, because the number one thing that that irritates me so much about Havoc is that the game mode is designed in such a way that there is an ultimate goal, and that ultimate goal of Havoc 40 is somewhat reachable by most players, and that means that players have drilled it into their heads that must be the thing that they do. And this has led to an absolute rash of players who are woefully unprepared for the difficulty. I'm talking about upwards of 30% of all players that I'm finding that have a Havoc 40 next to their name and are queuing for Havoc 40 games. If I took you and cloned you 3 times and then put you into a game with yourself, I don't think these players would be able to clear damnation. I seriously do not think they have any fundamentals of the game. They have no idea what's going on. Their builds are nonsense, and they are absolute drags on the team. This is as a direct result of the game more or less just indicating to players, hey, you should be playing the hardest possible difficulty at all times. Whatever's unlocked, just play that. And this has to stop, right? This cannot be the way that players are enjoying the game, and you cannot be enjoying the game if you are a player who is getting killed 10 times. If you are getting repeatedly killed by overhead such that you just aren't even barely playing in Havoc 40, it's time to turn down the difficulty. The thing that we need to remember more than anything is that these ranking systems, like this one here, like what we have in League of Legends, like there is in CSGO, not everybody is supposed to become Challenger tier. Not everybody is supposed to become Legendary Eagle Masters or whatever the fuck. They're supposed to find a difficulty at which you feel reasonably challenged and can grow your skills and are having fun, most importantly, and stay there. That's where you're supposed to kind of cap out at. So setting this goal where everybody is supposed to make it to Havoc 40 and making the system somewhat attainable that people can do that, I think is a huge flaw in the system right from the get-go. And kudos to you, those of you out there who know your own limits, right? Especially those of you, my heresy and damnation homies who were like, man, I tried Auric and that sucked. I'm just going to stick to what I don't know because I admire this game in a different way. That's the sort of mentality I'd love to see more of in Havoc. Right now, players are obsessed with being Havoc 40, and it is just simply ruining the game for everybody. They're not having fun, I'm not having fun dragging them through the game, and having them wash the floor while I'm actually playing. Now, let's kind of put ourselves into a more positive mindset. I want to give you a framework through which you can view your climb that will hopefully disabuse you of the really negative emotions that can come with this sort of ranked climb. As anyone who has ever made an attempt at, I need to reach rank bloody blah in League of Legends or Dota or whatever it is, the number one thing you don't want to do is to set an expectation that you will reach this rank by this time. That is just simply not how the game is going to happen. And what's going to happen then is you're going to set this goal of, oh, I'm going to reach Havoc 40, and that's only that's only 24 games if I'm starting at 16, right? And 24 games, that couldn't take more than like, I don't know, 20 hours total, and then you'll start playing. And that would be 20 hours total if every game went very smoothly and you made good, solid progress all the way through, and if you never lose a single game. But let me let you in on a little bit of a secret here, Jimmy. You're going to lose some fucking games. You're going to lose a lot of fucking games. And sometimes it's not going to be your fault. And sometimes it is. And sometimes it's not going to be nobody's fault. It's going to be the game's fault because everybody just crashed. Or half of the people on your team ran out of memory at the wrong time. Or your power went out. Or the internet went out. Or whatever happens, right? There's going to be a ton of instances where the game is ripped away from you. You are given a loss. And if you are in the mindset of, oh, I'm grinding to Havoc 40. These games here in the mid-20s, they don't matter at all. I'm just here, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to run through here and get this done so I can get to my ultimate goal. You're going to have exactly zero fun, zero enjoyment on any of the games you're playing. And then when you win games, you're going to have no sense of like, yay, I did a thing. It'll just feel like literally nothing, right? You'll have almost no emotional response to actually being able to accomplish some of these things. And then conversely, if you lose a game, you're going to be absolutely like pissed. You're going to be devastated. I just went 40 minutes to get no fucking progress towards my goal. God damn it. And let alone if you lose 3 times in a row, then you get deranked and you now have made negative progress towards your goal. And imagine how mad you are then. So here's my ultimate sort of advice to you in terms of this. I'm speaking as your motivational speaker here today, or maybe I'm like trying to sell you some sort of Ponzi scheme or something. By the way, you should definitely join my cult, the Mystery membership program. Find it in the description, and join the Discord, get all the mod packs. See Bernie. Bernie loves you. Actually, Bernie probably hates you, but I love you, so you should join. Anyway, this is what I want to say. It is about the journey and not the destination. I know it sounds cliche, right? But it truly is about the games that you're going to experience along the way. And if you are not having fun doing the leveling process, it's not going to change much when you get to 40, right? It's not going to change much when you get to whatever level it is. You are going to stay miserable if that's the mindset you're in, and you're going to make everyone else around you miserable. Because, yeah, when you lose games, you're going to be really pissed. When you win games, you're going to assume, oh, that's the default, right? That's what's expected to happen. I need to grind. So instead, let's reframe this as just, hey, let's fight a good game. Every game can be difficult. Every game can be worth something as far as winning and losing. And I also highly encourage you to use these lower levels where you might be, hey, listen, you might be a god gamer. Maybe all that stuff through like 20 through 30 isn't going to be challenging for you. And that's the time where you should be experimenting with different classes. Don't be like, oh, well, I want to win these games and I want to win them fast. So I'm only going to play my main. I'm only going to play one build, and I'm just going to blast out 10 games back to back. Because then in reality, you're going to be stuck playing that same fucking character the same fucking way for 20 games straight, and you're going to want to kill yourself. So let's avoid that and try to have varied, interesting builds. Communicate with your players, play with friends, have a little bit of fun, and then eventually you will reach whatever arbitrary goal you set for yourself, whether that's reaching Havoc 40 or just getting into where the game can actually start to really fuck with you, which I would say is in the 30s. Okay. With all that being said, I think we've pretty much put that to rest, right? Do not get hung up on this, the end-all, be-all is reaching Havoc 40 sort of mentality. Don't envision the distant goal, right? We're not even going to think about that goal, right? That's so far away. We are going to focus on the here and now, and we are going to work on our fundamentals. We're going to learn something from every loss, and we're going to move up some ranks at a time. So now let's talk about the actual way that you can move up ranks. All right, so now that I've drilled it into your head how unimportant in general rank is, and how we should be divorcing our thought from grinding and grinding and grinding to more thinking about like, hey, am I learning valuable skills? Am I enjoying my time playing at the current difficulty? Let's understand what those current difficulties actually are, and that's why we're here in the Photoshop void. So the basic fundamentals to Havoc are a couple of things. First of all, we have the ranks 1 to 40, right? And this ranking system is not super how do I put this? It's not super intuitive, but basically the ranks 1 to 40 are actually separated into 4 different groups. There's 1 through 10, there's 11 through 20, there's 21 through 30, and there's 31 through 40. So as I conceive of it, this difficulty over here, 1 through 10, is lame difficulty. It literally shouldn't even exist. That's because this is scaled at malice difficulty level. It barely even matters at all. Like, these enemies, even though it is Havoc mode, these enemies have so little HP that they're falling over in one hit. They can barely do any damage to you. Malice, to put it in perspective, is a difficulty that most players are done with playing by about like level 15 of the leveling process. Now you're a level 30 character with probably maxed out weapons. This is going to be an absolute joke. So yeah, this difficulty level shouldn't even exist. Then from levels 11 through 20, this is okay difficulty. It's heresy is the baseline for the scaling here. So there's going to be a little bit more elites, a little bit more base HP. The reason that this is okay is, you know, this is a good starting place. This is where you start. You start at 16 if you complete the Auric Maelstrom mission. If you don't, you start back here at 1. So you don't want to do that. You want to start by doing that Auric Maelstrom mission when Commissar Duquesne requests you to do a Maelstrom to prove your worth to unlock Havoc. So do a Auric Maelstrom and you'll start at 16. That's good. But you should also note that if you are struggling here, if this is a struggle for you, go back to Auric. Go back to Damnation, right? Go practice the base game if you are struggling in these ranks here, because Havoc is not a good space to learn the basic fundamentals of the game in. It's not the good place to learn the fundamentals of Darktide because there's so much other shit just like piled on top of the basic fundamentals you need to have. You'll have a harder time learning that stuff when you've got like 80 million other mechanics that are trying to kill you at the same time. So there's no shame in saying, hey, you know, that did not go very well. And we'll talk about how to evaluate whether or not you're doing well in a second. But yeah, there's no shame in saying you didn't do very well and going back and then practicing more fundamentals and then returning to Havoc. Now, 21 to 30, this is where we get into real Havoc, okay? This is real Havoc. It has a base scaling of Damnation, which is the maximum, which means that all these enemies are going to start at their base HPs that they have on Damnation and Auric. Crashers are going to start at 6,500 HP, and then that just goes up and up and up progressively with every single level. So by the time you're at level 30, even though there's not really any tangible change to like a lot of modifiers, these slight percentage modifiers will have crept up. So it should be harder, but sometimes it isn't. And I'll explain why in a second. So this is where it gets real, and 31 to 40 is where it is hard. 31 to 40 is seriously hard. It is very brutal, and it is still on Damnation difficulty, but we'll talk in the next episode about the actual mechanical differences. Like, there's some very intricate mechanics that happen in these that you need to be aware of if you're attempting it. But yeah, suffice to say, it is hard, it's very brutal, it's very rippy, there's tons of like deaths that will happen out of nowhere because the enemies have so much HP, there's so many of them. So yeah, it gets really, really hard up here. And what I'd say is that the vast majority of players, it's probably like this. It's probably like a bell curve, you know, that sort of thing. Right here, there's a low number of players who start playing Havoc and then like they just can't hack it at all, or they barely touch it and they're stuck below the 20 bracket. In 21 to 30, there's a lot of players. There's a lot of players, especially that 25-ish hump, because this is where we're scaled on Damnation. This is where you start to have problems with your defenses because enemies are doing a lot more damage, or taking a lot more damage to kill. And yeah, you really have to have your builds and your skills tight. And that this is going to be a big struggle. And then 31 and up to 40, that's the wall. for many players is like they cannot get started into the 30s and 40s. Now, how does the ranking system work? Well, now that I've explained the basic levels here, let's just talk about how the ranking system works. Let's just take an example of a player here. This is me, okay, or let's just say it's you. Okay, here's you, okay? You have a 20 mission, and we'll just call this your personal mission level. So this is whatever, when you click on the Havoc station, this is gonna pop up and say, hey, you wanna play this mission? That's your current level, and it'll appear in the little this thing as well, whatever it looks like. It looks like this, and it's got the thing, and it's got the thing, and it'll be like 20 or whatever. That's what your level is currently. And so this level dictates what missions you can host, right? Or dictates your highest clearance, and generally that's tied to what missions you can host. Now, if you have other people on your team, which you will, because it's a party finder sort of thing, you might have a player who's a 22. You might have a player who has a, let's say they have a 30, and you might have a player who has a 15, okay? So this is probably kind of a fucked team, but whatever it is. So player 1 here has a 22, player 2 has that 30, player 3 has a 15. Now, if you queue up your game, if you're the host and you say, let's play this one, this guy down here, he's lower than you, right? He's lower than you by 5 levels. So if you guys beat your mission, you will gain 1 level. You'll go to 21, duh, right? This guy is a 22 though. He has a higher level than you. He didn't risk anything by beating yours, and it's easier than the difficulty he's proven himself at already. So he will actually gain 0 levels from doing this. At the same time though, he can't lose any levels if you lose. You will lose an attempt if you lose at this, but he won't. So there's no shame, there's no cost other than just time. If you are a higher player, like say you wanted to just kind of mess around and play with your friend who's a 15, there's no cost to you in terms of losing your attempts or whatever if you were to play with the 15, because you've proven yourself there. You can't be deranked by losing at a lower rank. So it's a good way as well if you're like pushing and you really want to make to 30 or whatever and you're at 29 and it's your first game of the day and it's your last attempt on that run and you really want it to be a good one but you're not warmed up, you can play some 28s and 27s with some people on Party Finder and get warmed up and then plop that 29 in and really go for it. Now, the 30 player, obviously, because he's playing a mission that's much lower than him, he'll get a, nothing. But the guy who's 5 levels behind you, he'll actually get 2 levels out of that. So that's actually quite nice. If you're 5 up to, I think it's like 5 to 9 levels behind the mission, behind the mission that was just completed, you'll actually get 2 levels at a time. And this actually extends up to +3 levels. So for instance, if you all were participating in the level 30's mission, if he hosted the mission, well then the level 15 and you, because you're 10 levels behind him or more, you're both going to get +3. He'll get a +1, he'll get a +3, and this guy, he's 8 levels behind, he'll get a +2. So that's what happens if this guy would to host. So yes, playing higher level missions, if you can get them on your team, can be good to scale your scale your rank pretty quickly. However, I kind of recommend against doing this. And the reason for that is because the more you play at a difficulty, the better experience, the better understanding you'll have of like how hard it actually is, right? I think that's something that can be very, very tricky for players in Havoc, is they can think that they're ready for a certain difficulty and then not be ready at all. And the reason this is because there is a range of difficulties at any difficulty. Basically, if I'm playing a 25, and down here is the average 20 game, and up here is the average 30 game, sometimes this 25 will be really, really hard, and it'll actually feel like a 30. It can actually be harder than a 30. I have died on 25s where, like, there's no fucking way I would ever die on an average 25, right? It's well below my skill level, but somehow, some way, whether it's the combination of my team being an absolute dog shit, or like the game losing its mind because the AI like can just go crazy sometimes and spawn so much stuff, that can happen. At the same time, it can also happen that this 25 will feel stupid easy. Maybe it's a really, really easy map. Maybe the enemy spawns just didn't like align correctly where you had a bunch of bosses while a horde was going on at the same time, and it was always like, oh, you got to fight the bosses, but they were always isolated. There wasn't really anything else to do, so it was really, really easy. Both of those are realities that can happen often. And so what'll happen is, if you're just playing, like if you're just, skipping through these difficulties, and you're playing with players who are a couple levels higher than you, so that you're going through 2 at a time, you might only play 5 games to pass all the way from 20 to 30. And then you're going to reach 30 and be like, holy shit, like, I was not ready for this at all. That last 28, it didn't feel like anywhere near this, and that's because a lot of times, sometimes you just get a little bit lucky and it's a little bit easy. Or conversely, you can get stonewalled at like 25 and just get absolutely blown out over and over and over and over and over again, and be like, what the fuck? Like, I was just doing fine. What's happening? Well, the answer isn't always that, like, oh yeah, this team is so much worse, or I'm playing worse. Sometimes it's just like, hey man, it's the map you got. So often what I would encourage you to do is, if you're stuck on a level and you've got 4 people on your team who are all hosts, who all have 25s, and you're all progressing together, or whatever that is, ask around and see if any of them have a mission that you could try instead. Because sometimes the modifiers, and we'll talk about all this in a later video, but sometimes the modifiers and the particular map that it is itself, and the seed of the map is really, really broken. It's really, really hard, and it's better just to play a different map and try your luck at that instead, rather than continue to bang your head into that same wall over and over and over again. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that like, there can be like 29s that are harder than anything up here, and that won't give you the true experience. You won't really know how good you are unless you have some way of actually testing that. And that's where I want to bring to the last thing here, which is mods. If you are a Havoc player, I think there's a pretty good chance that you're probably a console, or not a console player, but rather a PC player. I find a lot more PC players on Havoc, and if you do have access to a PC or playing on a PC, you 100% should be using mods. And one of the best ones, one of the hands down best ones to use to get better at Havoc, to get better at Darktide, is Scoreboard, which is what you're seeing here. Now, this is Scoreboard plus a plugin called Oven Proofs that I run, and what you'll see is it provides a fuck ton of data. So this data is really important for us to understand if we're performing. So this was a Havoc 40, as I remember, and what I can do is I can go in here and I can look at myself. This is me, and because I'm yellow at the top, and I can look at myself and compare my performance to other players. Because if you can't do this, you have no idea. You might have won the mission, but maybe you literally didn't contribute almost anything, and it was just someone who's really, really good in your team that was doing all the work for you. Or maybe conversely, like, you actually did so much work, like you were playing out of your mind, and everybody else was kind of dragging, and you're way more capable than you would be. You're way more capable if you were on a better team or something like that. So this information is super valuable here. And if I were to look through here, right? So these are this is Xeno, this is Comrade, I think yeah, that's Comrade Crad, and here's T-Dops. So, and then this is me, as I said before. So what I'd say is, if I'm looking here, I'm looking at my damage taken up here. So I did really good on damage taken. I didn't take barely any damage. Comrade and Xeno taking pretty similar, smallish amounts of damage. Then we all had roughly equal levels of general damage done, or a little bit over 1 million. And, he had some more boss damage, a good amount more boss damage. I had a lot. I was doing very well at Disablers and Specials and Elites, but we all were doing roughly the same. And yeah, that continues all the way down. And then there's T-Dops over here. So T-Dops, I don't remember exactly what the fucking deal was here, but he got absolutely shreked in this game, right? He has nearly 4 times more damage taken than a lot of the members of our team, and a full 5 times more than I do. He has a mere fraction of the amount of kill participation and damage done that everybody else here does. And if I were looking at this, and I was this player, I would say, maybe I'm not like skill ready enough to like be playing at this level. Maybe I need to, there's something I should practice. Maybe it's my build, maybe it's whatever. Like maybe this was a bad game, or whatever. I don't know whatever happened. This is so long ago, I can't even remember at this point. But that is the sort of information you should know, you should be aware of, and you should be modeling yourself after other like players. So, if I had been playing here, and there's another Skitari right here. I'm a Skitari, they're a Skitari. If I had seen a massive discrepancy here, one of us was double the other person's damage, I need to, if I'm the person who's behind, I need to look at that person who's got double my damage and find out what the fuck they're doing that I'm not, right? There's definitely something that I'm missing here if that situation is happening. And first of all, scoreboard is a great way to tell that. Some other, and I'll probably make a mod, like absolutely essential mods for Havoc, or make a video like that about it. But another really essential mod is it being able to inspect from social. That's another mod called Inspect from Social that allows you to inspect your party members through the social menu, so you can see what their builds are, see what they're running, just to check and see maybe, hey, maybe there's something really powerful that you missed out on, and you never know where you can learn from. So yeah, just understanding more about the game, have a scoreboard. If you don't have a scoreboard, ask if anybody on the team can post some numbers, like ask like, how much damage did I do compared to, like, was I first, second, third, or fourth place? You know, don't like drag it up and like shame anybody, right? You don't want to be like who's the least or anything, but just ask about yourself. See if someone else will tell you how you did compared to everybody else. And if you're hanging out in the middle of the pack, you're probably good, right? If you're doing like 80% as much as other people are, that's probably fine. You know, especially if you're new. If you're topping the leaderboards, awesome. You're definitely doing very well. You should be moving on up. But you know, if you're doing really, really poor and you're well behind everybody else, it's time to look at your fundamentals and perhaps like scale it down and play with people who are more aligned to your expertise level. Because at the same time, like, yes, while like, you know, we won this game, I think it looks like a win. While we won this game, maybe T-Dops didn't get to learn very much from this, because all three of us were so skilled, we just kind of like carried the entire game, and he just kind of had to walk behind, and it didn't really matter whether or not he was participating. We just kind of automatically won the game for him. So how is he going to learn and improve from this experience? Is probably not. And remember, that is the goal at the end of all of this, is to learn and improve from the experience. All right. Well, that's enough lecturing for this one. On the next episode of Havoc Z, or whatever the fuck we're calling this, we're going to talk about the actual mechanics of the game mode. This is going to get very nitty-gritty in terms of the like tricks and sort of foibles of this game mode and how it will try to get you. So thanks for watching for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Mystery out. Bye-bye.